A hidden coastline could hold the very palace Homer described, and number 1 is a cliffside ruin most scholars overlook. Stay with me until the end to discover the site that even seasoned archaeologists debate. Ithaca may never have been a single island, but the massive Bronze Age palace at Pylos mirrors Homer's description of a royal hall perched on a promontory. Excavations led by Michael Ventris in the 1930s revealed a complex of frescoed rooms, a central courtyard, and a drainage system that matches the well-sprung water source in the Odyssey. Pottery bearing Linear B tablets mentions Alcinous, a name strikingly similar to the mythic king. While the site is traditionally linked to the Mycenaean kingdom, some scholars argue the layout aligns with the Golden Palace imagery, suggesting a possible cultural memory of Odysseus' domain. The surrounding lagoon, still rich in marine life, could be the clear water referenced in the epic, making Pylos a compelling candidate for the poet's inspiration.
Unearthed layers at Delphi reveal a hidden chamber once dedicated to a hero cult that some ancient writers associate with Odysseus. The chamber, discovered in 2008, contains a bronze statue bearing an inscription fragment reading Odysseus in archaic script. Nearby votive offerings include a miniature ship model, echoing the hero's famed voyages. Researchers note that Delphi's position at the crossroads of the Greek world made it a natural place for exiled kings to seek divine counsel, matching the Odyssey's theme of wandering and prophecy. Although the primary deity is Apollo, the presence of a secondary hero also suggests that local traditions may have preserved a memory of Odysseus seeking refuge after his return. The site's panoramic view of the valley could be the far-seeing landscape described in the poem, adding weight to the hypothesis that Delphi once housed a sanctuary honoring the wily king.
Surveyors mapping the Dodecanese Islands noticed that Kastellorizo's limestone cliffs and natural harbor match the storm-tossed island Odysseus struggled to escape. The island's name, meaning Little Castle, was recorded by Strabo as a waypoint for sailors in the Hellenistic period. Archaeological digs have uncovered 8th century pottery shards bearing geometric patterns similar to those found in Ithaca's mainland sites. Moreover, a small shrine to Poseidon, dated to the early Iron Age, contains an altar stone with a carving of a ship's prow, a motif echoed in Homeric verses. While the island's size is modest, its strategic position between Crete and the Turkish coast could explain why later mythographers placed Odysseus' final refuge there. The combination of maritime artifacts and the island's rugged terrain makes Kastellorizo a plausible, though often overlooked, candidate for the poet's elusive home.
Legend tells that after his final battle, Odysseus retreated to a secret cave where he contemplated his legacy. Recent speleological surveys of Mount Parnassus uncovered a network of caves with walls coated in ochre pigment, a pigment also used in Mycenaean frescoes. Inside one chamber, archaeologists found a stone slab engraved with a spiral motif interpreted by some as a representation of the sea's endless loop, a possible symbolic link to Odysseus' voyages. Carbon dating places the occupation layer around the 12th century BCE, aligning with the traditional dating of the Odyssey's composition. Though the caves lack definitive inscriptions, the convergence of artistic style, maritime symbolism, and the mountain's mythic association with Apollo creates a compelling narrative that this hidden sanctuary could have inspired the poet's final scenes of contemplation.
Recent underwater sonar mapping around Kefalonia revealed a series of sea-eroded caves accessible only at low tide. Divers exploring the largest cavity discovered petroglyphs depicting a figure with a bow and a ship, motifs consistent with Odyssean iconography. The site also yielded fragments of amphorae stamped with the mark of a potter from the island of Ithaca, suggesting trade connections. Researchers hypothesize that the caves may have served as a clandestine refuge for exiled nobles, mirroring the Odyssey's theme of hidden safe havens. The natural acoustics of the cavern produce a haunting echo that ancient bards could have interpreted as the voice of the sea, further embedding the location into mythic imagination. While definitive proof remains elusive, the combination of maritime artifacts and geographic isolation strengthens the case for Kefalonia's caves as a possible sanctuary linked to Odysseus.
Carbon analysis of timber recovered from shipwrecks in Navarino Bay indicates construction techniques identical to those described in the Odyssey's shipbuilding passages. The harbor, protected by towering cliffs, matches Homer's description of a sheltered inlet where the waves bow to the shore. Excavations in the 2010s uncovered a series of bronze fittings bearing a double-headed axe motif, a symbol associated with the hero's lineage in later Greek art. Additionally, a bronze plaque inscribed with the name Odysseus was found near a storage pit, though its provenance remains debated. The strategic location of Pylos, overseeing routes between the Peloponnese and the islands, would have offered the returning king a defensible base, aligning with the narrative of his final years spent in a fortified sanctuary.
Deep beneath the volcanic ash of Akrotiri, frescoes depicting a banquet with a central figure holding a lyre and a spear have been uncovered. The composition mirrors the famed feast of the Phaeacians where Odysseus recounts his wanderings. Radiocarbon dating places the settlement's peak occupation around 1600 BCE, earlier than the traditionally accepted Homeric era, yet many scholars argue that oral traditions could preserve memories of older sites. Moreover, a series of stone tablets bearing linear A symbols were found nearby, suggesting a cultural exchange between Minoan and Mycenaean peoples. While the island's catastrophic eruption reshaped the Aegean, the lingering myths of a lost golden city could have been woven into the Odysseian saga, making Akrotiri a tantalizing, albeit controversial, candidate for the hero's mythic home.
Carbon dating of mortar from the abandoned monastery ruins on Mount Athos indicates construction around the 9th century CE, yet the site sits atop a much older sacred hill that ancient travelers referenced as the high place of the gods. Archaeologists discovered a stone altar bearing an inscription fragment mentioning a king who roamed the seas, a phrase some interpret as a later homage to Odysseus. The monastery's remote location and steep ascent echo the poem's portrayal of a secluded sanctuary reachable only by those who endure hardship. While the connection is largely symbolic, the convergence of religious devotion, isolation, and a lingering heroic reference keeps this site within scholarly discussions about possible Odyssean sanctuaries.
Hidden in the verdant valleys of Lefkada lies an ancient road network leading to a small amphitheater carved into a cliff face. Excavations revealed votive offerings shaped like miniature ships and a bronze disc engraved with a stylized owl, a motif associated with Athena, the patron of Odysseus. The amphitheater's acoustics allowed performers to recite epic poetry, suggesting a cultural link to oral storytelling traditions. Pottery sherds dated to the 12th century BCE display patterns identical to those found in known Mycenaean sites, indicating a possible settlement of seafarers. Though no direct inscription names Odysseus, the combination of maritime symbols, strategic coastal position, and a landscape resembling Homeric descriptions makes Lefkada a compelling, if understated, contender for the hero's legendary home.
Finally, the Cave of the Nymphs on Crete features a subterranean pool fed by a steady spring, reminiscent of the clear spring where Odysseus is said to have bathed after his return. Inside, researchers documented charcoal drawings of a bearded figure steering a galley, dated via thermoluminescence to roughly the 13th century BCE. Nearby, a fragmented stone slab bears a carved trident, possibly symbolizing Poseidon's role in the hero's trials. The cave's remote setting aligns with the Odyssey's motif of a hidden refuge guarded by divine forces. While the evidence is fragmentary, the convergence of water imagery, nautical iconography, and an ancient sanctuary setting provides a poetic resonance that keeps this Crete cave in the ongoing debate over Odysseus' true home.
We've walked through 10 remarkable sanctuaries, each offering a plausible thread to the legendary home of Odysseus. The blend of poetry, pottery shards, and modern technology shows how the ancient world still fuels our curiosity. If you enjoyed this journey, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into history's greatest mysteries. Which sanctuary surprised you most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights keep the conversation alive, and I'll see you in the next episode.